All right, we are live. Hello, everybody. Anna Sabramwitz here. How are you today? Happy Tuesday. Hope you got over your Mondays. Oh, let me adjust this a little bit. Just looking a little crooked. So today, I know the title of this live is kind of depressing, right? Are you still doing that kind of e-learning that crushes your soul? Is your soul being crushed? What do I mean by this? And no, I didn't make a typo there. I didn't say how to crush e-learning. It wasn't anything like that. Today, what I'm going to talk to you about is really the old way that we've been sold how to do e-learning and the new way that we should be doing it. And that mental shift that we need to kind of do to be able to actually do this in a way that does not destroy our soul. So let me clarify what soul crushing actually means. And if you resonate with the soul crushing piece of this, then give me a heck yeah. I love those. Yesterday I ran a live and I told somebody, I told everybody, are you designing learning that's kind of like the boring makes people yawn? And I'm like, are you part of the club? Guess what? We're part of the club. So some people were like, yep, part of the club, proudly part of the club. So today, if you're part of after I describe what soul crushing e-learning is, and if you're part of that club too, because the reason I'm talking about it is because I've been still part of that club, trying to break out of the club. Let me know. All right. So I don't know if you remember, probably not. Hopefully you tried to erase it out of your memory. About I think it was about 8-9 years ago, when software really started like ramping up this idea that you could quickly convert rapid e-learning. You could quickly convert whatever PowerPoint presentations you had or whatever you had into a digitized, accessible version that was interactive, right? So basically it was like there was all these PowerPoints out there floating around from all those live training sessions, and somebody decided, hey, can we just quickly get this into some sort of a mobile form? And by the way, if you can see this and it doesn't look too crazy, maybe I should move it a little closer. By the way, I got a little bit of an upgrade. Look at this, guys, an eraser. I'm not using a towel anymore. I know everybody's excited. I still have to learn how to use it apparently, because I'm always using the wrong side. Okay, so basically what happens is you've got these PowerPoints out there floating around from live sessions, right? And all of a sudden everybody's like, hey, you can take this and turn it into something interactive online. Amazing, right? So then what happens is you get this amazing tool, and the tool converts it and spits it out into something amazing, right? Something people will love because it's now accessible online. All those things. Those are supposed to be half hearts. So this is the problem with this, is that this is a tool that became in the middle here. It became us. Bear with me. I'm the kind of person who talks and thinks and talks at the same time. So this is what I think happened, and this is where my soul got crushed, is I got a whole bunch of PowerPoint presentations that were delivered face to face, and now I was supposed to just be the machine, in fact, like the minion that takes that stuff and basically, like, I felt like I was on a conveyor belt. And it's funny because when I first started working for myself, one of my projects was really taking stuff that was already online but wasn't as good, but it was written text, and turning it into like these interactive things online. And there's no autonomy in that. There's so little like you're basically just like a funnel, right? Like you're taking things and you're turning one kind of thing into another kind of thing, and it's supposed to be good enough. And one of the things that, I mean, this is, to me, this is soul crushing, because I'm basically punching, converting things without really having a reflection of why are we doing this? How is this helping people? And is it making the world a better place? Is me taking a live presentation that's already done and turning it into this self-paced presentation with animations or whatever, is this going to be a better experience for somebody? And if there isn't, and I don't know how many of you guys have had these kinds of projects where everybody's like, we have a whole bunch of PowerPoints that we used to run, we actually used to send out to people, and they were just narrated PowerPoints. Now we want them to be available on mobile narrated PowerPoints. And the challenge is that like 8 years ago, that was sexy, and now it's not. It's no longer, it's not sexy at all. And so what happens is, if I wanted to show you like what that actually looks like this is what that content usually looks like. Tell me if you've seen anything like this before. Screen. Welcome. And nav. Learning objectives. Text plus image. Text in tabs. Video. Text. Quiz. Rinse, repeat. Basically, like this is actually this is actually an improvement over some of the things that I've seen. I've seen a bunch of stuff where it's just content. It's like basically really the supporting documentation that somebody had to actually share a presentation in person and add the context and stories. And that supporting stuff has been now turned into basically a narrated PowerPoint. And it's funny because I've seen people who, and I've worked with organizations where they've come to me because what they've done is they had somebody who was a very powerful presenter, and they would run these campaigns, or they would run these training sessions where they would like bring like 300 people from like all over the world for this, and this person was amazing. They were engaging, they had tons of stories, and they were just an amazing trainer facilitator. And these basically training conventions this organization put together was just stunning, right? It's interesting though, because what happened is they were like, we can't afford to have 300 people fly down and rent out the place, the convention center, for 4 days, and it's a very, very, very expensive. How can we take this stuff, this money, and invest it into making these presentations available to people self-paced? And this is what they did. They had this guy read out all of his presentations and slides and put it on video, and they put it up in this e-player thing that they had. This was years ago. And then they said, it's just not happening. Like, people aren't resonating with this in the same way. And there's a very important quote that I think it exemplifies all of this, and it's and I got this from a conversation with Bob Mosher. He said something to the effect of, I'm not straight up quoting, but we've made the mistake of kind of, what's the specific word? It's really good. We've made the mistake of thinking that accessibility and immediacy is the same as context. So we said, oh, now it's available. That means that contextually it's valid, but it's not. It's not at all. This is a face-to-face presentation we've just captured on video. It's never going to be the same impact, the same kind of engagement as if people working in groups answering questions, people answering questions, in the moment, or being asked questions in the moment about it. This is just a straight up content dump, right? So one of the things that happens then is, when I talk about soul crushing, I talk about us not really having the big idea behind why we're doing things, and feeling like all we're doing is we're just there to apply the software to something that's kind of meant for a different context, or maybe not even thought through as well as it should be, and just turning that into just more of the same. I'm sorry, if there's nothing more soul crushing, it's that you can't really apply your creativity, you can't apply your analytical skills, you can't talk to people to get more of the context around why are we doing this and how is this going to speak to a single person now, right? A one-on-one conversation. How are we doing that? I don't know about you, but after I did those projects, I felt completely diminished. I felt like why am I here? Like, why did I read all those articles? Why did I read all these books? Why do I practice, apply all those things when all I'm doing is I'm taking one kind of thing and just turning it into more of a digital kind of thing? It's horrible. It's not cool. So this is what I propose as the new way, because this is the old way, and it's terrible because that was the old way 9 years ago, because we really were trying to, the tools were trying to catch up to what our aspirations were, right? Quickly move things from one thing to the next. But we got to get beyond this, because this is shameful for us to be doing all the time. Now, this is what I'm thinking for you to embrace. This is the new way. You are a trusted advisor. A trusted advisor is not somebody who begins with content. A trusted advisor is somebody who begins with business outcomes, business intent, the vision, right? So you're there to figure out what that big vision is. What are we trying to accomplish? And then one of the tools that you have is interactive storytelling. Because as far as I see, a lot of the things that companies are trying to accomplish these days is change. Leadership change, how we do things, our mindsets, our approaches, our agility, our innovation. All those things are mindsets, right? Procedures are quickly updated, but what doesn't change? What needs to change? What usually stays, the procedures can change 10 times every day. But if the mindsets of the people who are using those procedures don't change, guess what? They fail. Doesn't matter. If nobody goes to check the procedures, it doesn't matter. So what you need to do is address that change, right? And that's why I think this is the new way of approaching interactive storytelling. So what happens is now you're the advisor. You figure out what that vision is. And then what you are armed with, one of the tools that you now have in your arsenal, because an advisor has the big perspective, the big picture. They're able to see different things. They come in with a different mindset. That's actually a benefit to being outside of all those processes, is you're able to look at it from the outside, and sometimes you see things that people don't see when they're in it. Let me know if you think that that's a cool thing. That's an advantage that you have, that you're able to walk in and say, hey, how is that working? Or how come you're doing that? Ask those silly questions that everybody's like, well, of course we're doing it this way. And you're like, okay, well, why? So that's a part of it. That's a part of determining the vision, is what are we already doing that's well done? What do we want to do more of? Let's say, what's an action we're doing that's 10xing? We're 10xing. What are some things that people need to have aha moments about? Or what are some things that they need to understand or be aware of that they're not aware of right now? That first step in that awareness will actually help them make that difference. Shift their perspective. I align this to that whole idea that if you all of a sudden buy a car that's red, or let's say it's a red Jeep, for some reason, all of a sudden you start seeing red Jeeps everywhere. And you've never done so before. It's because your perceptions change. You're tuned into a different frequency also, almost, right? So you have to think about if all this info, and a lot of organizations already have all that info. Those minions, they've already been converting all that info to digital, resources. They don't need to be redigitized. They're already digital. One of the things that right now the big challenge is not whether to create more info, it's to curate effectively the info that we have. Somebody has to go in who has the knowledge to tell you what the difference is between a good source and a bad source, an accurate source and an inaccurate source and an incomplete source. Organize that for you and then give that to you in a very comprehensive way. But for you to actually see the potential as an adult who's working in a workplace to see the potential of that stuff and see that it's valuable to you. That's our challenge. It's not all that stuff. It's getting you there. It's getting you to think about it, right? Oh, by the way, if this is something that you're interested in digging more deeply on, sign up for my training at elearningsecrets.com. And if somebody's online right now listening, if you could type that into the comments so somebody could just click on it, I would appreciate that a lot. Thank you, helpful person. So there you can register for more training on this. So think about this now. You are now the trusted advisor. Trusted advisor. Is that not where everybody wants to be? Like, if you want to be a trusted advisor, and that's where you'd like to see your role evolve to or be at, give me a heck yeah. Trusted advisor, heck yeah. Like, that's awesome, right? So what happens is now you're looking at the system out there, the ecosystem, and seeing where you can enhance what's already working and maybe augment things and improve maybe some of those connections between the resources that organization already has, the context which it's applying in, and see if you can get people closer to that, right? So storytelling is a part of this. It's a part of this toolkit because storytelling in many, many ways is the way to bring people in with emotions. It's to bring adults in with experiences. So this is really cool because it becomes a part of your it's another aspect that you can now bring into the conversation, which nobody's talking about because everybody's still thinking about HTML5 and converting things, right? You're coming in with this different perspective, a different persuasion strategy. And then the other thing that you have is you're taking this storytelling and overlaying it over an activity framework. Notice I'm not talking about converting anything to anything here. Not at all. Everything is about creating an experience that augments or enhances or facilitates somebody moving from a state of not knowing or not being happy about where they are to knowing, awareness, having an aha moment, and moving there. So you're taking storytelling and overlaying it with an activity framework. Now this is the cool part too, because you're now the trusted advisor, you're talking to practitioners in the field. You're not just referring back to the business. You're not referring back to, the manuals. You're not, like, your number one source of information is not the PowerPoint. Your number one source of information now are people who are applying things, because in order for an activity framework to be effective and relevant and contextual and memorable, all those juicy things, you got to talk to people who are actually using those things. You have to talk to people who actually have experience and stories, because a PowerPoint will not give you that. A PowerPoint will give you something maybe high level, maybe, but it will not give you the context. It will not give you that juiciness and the feelings that you need to manifest to make it happen. So, what do you think? What do you think about the new way? Hope you enjoyed it. It's really awesome living in this world because you get to be a creator. You get to pull in ideas, and it's almost like when I discovered this, and I have to tell you, I did quite a bit of struggle trying to find a way to see what everybody was telling me what e-learning was and what it should be and how fast I should be and all those other things. And I really drank that Kool-Aid for a while. And then after a while, when it stops feeling like you're really doing meaningful work and you're putting out things that you dread and you're thinking, my God, somebody's going to go through that. And that my name's attached to that. Not always attached to it, but it is, because you built it, right? So when I launched Broken Coworker, yes, there was a lot of anxiety there, because it was something that I really wanted to design that it represented an experience I wanted to go through. So if you haven't checked it out, go to brokencoworker.com. That's a really awesome demo. I'm super proud of it, and it still stands. Like, I'm still getting people telling me, hey, this is something I use when people are saying, hey, we need some creative ideas. We need a way to share this. We want to get away from the slides and quizzes. We want to actually get into experiences and something that will affect change. They're still referring to that, which makes me so proud and happy. And one of the things that I found was really cool is that when you have, when you start doing work like that, and when you start sharing work like that, and the feedback that comes back from it is so positive. It's not all roses. Like, it's work, man. It's none of this is easy. But if you're gonna spend the time doing something, might as well spend it on things that mean something to you and are adding value. And the other thing that I really wanted to start getting good at is, with every project, I wanted to start getting good at these elements, storytelling and activity-based learning, because for me, the conversion of one kind of medium to another, that's a software thing. That's just a new plugin. That's a new software package. But to be able to actually do this well with every new project, I knew I could actually improve on those skills, and that's what really drove me, because I feel like we're in the business of mastery, and a lot of us are looking for the opportunity to not just be attached to software, but have a skill set that can go to any software, because this is gonna outlast everything. It's outlasted everything already. It's like, how old are stories? They're a part of our brain chemistry. That's how old they are. So this is something I wanted to get really good at, and that's why I'm sharing it with you, because I think that all the other things are transient and can be augmented and quickly learned. But this is something that I think, I'm not saying those other things aren't valuable, like learning how to select the great visuals or learning how to do fonts and things like that. But those things aren't as difficult, I think, in some ways, because there isn't enough of that practice happening. So the more I can get at this, the more I can get at this, right? The better I can get at it. So if you want to learn more about this, my journey, and all the other lessons that I've learned, go to elearningsecrets.com and there sign up for my training that's going to be happening very soon. And otherwise, if you have any questions about this, if you have any feelings about it, you know what? Post them in the comments. If you feel like this is something that somebody's suffering through and they just need a little bit of a pep talk about the new way, guess what? Share it with them. And also, if you like this video, do like it, because then it bumps it up to the top and spreads the word. All right? Thank you so much for being here today, and I really appreciate your time. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, friends. Ciao!